Hello, 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 hello. Today I'm talking with Ashley or Ash Hunsberger. We talked about playing a team sport and being an exchange student without phone or email.
I'm Ivanul from Who's Agile. My pronouns are he and him. Welcome to my channel. You see a lot of agilists around me on this screen. If you want to hear me interviewing, please click that subscribe button because these are the people that I've invited so far. If you think I'm missing people, let me know in the comments. And that like button, well, if you liked today's interview, don't forget to click it.
Hello, hello everyone, and hello with me I have Ashley, or should I say Ash?
Yeah. Ash is fine. So my friends call me either or though.
All right. And before we jump into everything, I want to show us a little bit on where we are. This is me in Ghent in Belgium. And if we're asking Google to help us out a little bit, we're going all the way to Raleigh. Raleigh, is it how you
Raleigh.
pronounce it? Raleigh, yeah.
Yep.
In the States. So that's a lot of time zones, a lot of miles, kilometers that we say in Europe. So at my side, it's 9 in the evening, 9:35 in the evening. What's the time on your side?
It is 3:35 right now. So 6 hours, I think we got. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
math.
So and that is the Friday still. You're right.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
Friday.
So I'm calling from the future to the US. So yeah.
Gosh. It's
And
amazing.
yeah, indeed. But that's thanks to all these technologies and all these tools we have all that these options these days. And
Yeah.
Ash, before we jump into all the questions, how do you want to introduce yourself? What do you want people to know about you for the few people that
Oh,
don't
I'm
know you?
so terrible at this, but let's see. Who am I? I'm pretty boring, but I think what matters most is I'm a mother. I've got two girls, Emma and Layla. Emma's 15, Layla is 12, about to be 16 and 13. So I'm about to have a driver as a child. It feels so
Mm.
terrifying. I love to travel. I love to hike. I love to experience other cultures. Um, I guess career wise, I was in testing for a lot of my life before I made a switch or pivot into engineering enablement, which really testing was a huge part of that. My goal is to help developers succeed. I want them to have the tools and resources that they need to be successful. Um, and I think my whole background in testing was a huge part of that in that pivot. So um, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Somehow it sometimes feels for developers that testers are the opposite, where actually for me it's much more indeed like you say, it's
yeah,
we're both on the same side. We want the same thing. We want quality software going in, and
exactly.
there's part that is responsible for writing it and a part that's responsible for double checking. Are you, yeah, did you think about everything and everything
Yeah.
that needs to be there?
Yeah,
So
I like to think, when we were in testing, it was like, here, let me help you think about risks. Let's talk about those. I'm not going to be the one writing the tests for you, but let's teach you what that means, right? And then as we enable them with testing, that's what kind of got me thinking into other modes of that and training and development, all these other aspects that um, we did as testers. We coached them, we taught them. And I just get to do it in other ways too. It's really fun.
yeah, I like the way of looking at that. Yeah, well, the rules are a little bit different in Europe, but I have already two children who have a driver's license, which
Hmm.
is both scary and brings a lot of ease as well, because
Yes.
in many cases, if the third child needs to go somewhere, then one of the two others can help out. So that
I
I
am
feel like,
counting down the days. Let me tell you. It is so we took on a third child this year. We were hosting an exchange student for the year.
hmm,
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, we just added and she's amazing and plays sports too. So we've added yet another place we need to be with the exchange student. And I'm like, what did we do to ourselves? But we love it. Like it's great. I just cannot wait till my oldest gets her license and can be like, okay, and now I'm going to take our youngest daughter to volleyball practice, whatever that looks like.
hmm,
So
yeah,
yeah,
I can definitely see the oldest was not that really in the beginning. I'm not sure if I want to, but now both they have the driver's license, the two oldest, and
yeah,
yeah, it's amazing. It's interesting that the third one is like at this moment totally not interested because could already start.
Yeah.
In Belgium, you have to be 18, so it's
Okay.
different. But yeah, at 17, you could already start practicing, and then
Yeah.
well, when you're 18, you can actually get it. But the 17-year-old close
Yeah.
to 18, he's like, no, totally. But of course, with two older brothers that have a license that can drive her anywhere, and still two parents that can help out in the other
Yeah.
circumstances, there is less need.
What's the need?
Exactly. So
That's
yeah,
so
but
funny.
yeah, it brings a lot of freedom, and not just for the children, also for the parents. I think for the
Yes.
people who don't have younger children, or who have no children at that age, I can definitely tell you, yeah, it brings value. Also for
Yeah, even just like the trip to the store that I'm like, I remember when I got my license and my mom would be like, here's the money, here's our grocery list. You need to do this now. I was like, okay. And I was all too happy to just get my time in the car and drive. It was freedom, even if I was doing something for my mom. It's great.
Exactly that. Yeah, that is the exact same thing. And I remember last year we went with on a family trip. There were 4 drivers. Like, it was wonderful.
Mm,
If
yes.
we had, I don't know, 1,500 kilometers, so a lot of things to drive to get to
Yeah.
where we wanted to go. And now it was 4 people who could drive and switch. And
Uh,
so yeah, that was wonderful. So yeah, it
yep.
and many different levels. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Very
So we
cool.
jumped already into a
Yeah.
lot of similar stories before we jump into the question. But
Yeah.
let's take that first question. What is something that people usually, or that something that people usually don't know about you, but has influenced you in
Oh, this is good. There's probably 2 things I think, and my
Hmm.
friends know these about me, but for those of you that don't know me, 1, I play field hockey. So I
Hmm.
think playing a team sport my entire life, and I still play poorly. I'm
Wow.
old and out of shape, but it's fine. I'm the oldest person in our league. It's all right. But playing a team sport my entire life has like really helped shape me. I'm not the best player. I'm not the fastest player. I'm not the most skilled player. But the teams I've been on, we've won championships. Like we play best together. And I realized that hard work, dedicate, showing up is half the battle. Learning to work with each other, how we communicate. Do we trust each other? We don't have to be the team of all the most skilled players. In fact, we weren't the team that had a ton of skilled players, but because we could play together, because we could talk, all of these things, we were able to win and do really well and play well as a team. And so that's really shaped a lot of who I am, like growing up, knowing as long as I put in the work and I'm willing to, and we can all be good together. That's really shaped who I am, just in my personal life, in my work life. It's been a massive part of who I am.
Hmm.
If I think about the work context, I'm not the smartest, I'm not the most technical, but as a team, and I can lead and I can learn things and I can learn from you and we can build great team spaces to work together. So that's one of the main things. The other thing I think not a lot of people know about me is I used to be an exchange student. So I went to Germany when I was in high school, and throughout my time in high school, we
Wait,
always
and
had somebody.
when you say high school, because I know for
Ah,
international people it's not always clear. What age is that then?
okay. So that would be ninth through 12th grade. So I was 15 years old when I went over
Wow,
for a few
that's
months. It wasn't a long
still,
time.
but still, it's
It was
young to
scary.
be so far away from your family,
Yeah.
and
And that's an
wow,
age where we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have video, like we didn't have Skype, Skype was like the first video conferencing tool we had, right? That I remember coming out. We didn't have Zoom, we didn't have any of that. I didn't have email. We had snail mail
wow,
that we had to send to each other, real letters, and very, very expensive phone calls home if we needed to. It was terrifying. Um, and then we always had somebody rotating through our home, whether from Germany or Norway. I love that time growing up. And living abroad and having other people in our home from other cultures just taught me so much. You know, it's you need to have an open mind. Like you're going to have people with different perspectives. You're going to be landing in a culture that's not your own, and it's going to feel different. And you got to learn to be curious and ask questions and advocate for yourself, or advocate for others. And I learned to find my way, and it made me love travel. It made me love getting to know people, about their lives, not just what they do for a living, which is a very American thing. Like the first question Americans ask is, "Oh, what do you do?" I'm like, "I like to travel. I don't talk about my job." But, it's just one of those things that it puts you out of your comfort zone. Um, and it's just really influenced my approach to, you know, especially when you're in a new culture, or you're living somewhere you're not comfortable in, or you don't know people. You have to be open to those experiences, but there's going to be other things going on, like you're thinking in another language. You're having to translate things in your head if you're not fluent, and I wasn't fluent at the time, and it's hard. It's like trying to write with your non-dominant hands, and learning empathy and grace for those situations, and knowing that people are going through something, and you might not see it, and it might not be apparent at first, but just all these things have just influenced how I approach life, and the people I work with, and my family
And
too.
now you give a full list of things that you've experienced. At what age did you learn these? Did you all learn that in that when as a 15-year-old or?
Yeah, I learned a lot of that as a 15-year-old, which was a lot to learn as a 15-year-old, right?
Exactly.
Especially the discomfort. You coming from a place where you're totally comfortable, can fight with your siblings, can argue with your parents, and now you're with strangers. And that taught me a lot there, alone, but also just the different ways of getting around, like taking an actual bus, where we had a school bus growing up, or in my case, you walked, or we had a ride to school. Now you're taking a city bus to get to your school, and okay, now I have to find my way back to the house that I was living at. Is very different situation, than
And not
America.
knowing the language much probably at that time.
Yeah, I had a few years, but I also was dropped. I lived in Bavaria, so that's different than the German you learn in high school. Um, a very different dialect. Fortunately, most people still spoke Hochdeutsch with me, which is great. Thank goodness. But it was scary, and then you're hearing it at a cadence you've never heard it before, a speed you've never heard that language spoken before, because German is not very common in the United States. Um,
Mhm.
a- and of course, my family's like, "Why did you pick German of all languages?" Like, it was the easiest for me to learn and figure out, so that's just what I did. Um, and then as I reflected on that time, and some of it I didn't appreciate until I was a little older. So I was an exchange student when I was 15. When I was, I think, 17, we had a girl from Norway come live with me, and she lived with us for the whole year, not just a few months at a time. Uh, and she really taught me like different things. She was the first person we talked openly about religion with, or her views on it, because we didn't really have a lot of time with the other students that lived with us there, and really is like, oh, there really is a different way of living than, rooted. And I was born and raised a Southern Baptist, and it's a very different thing to think, oh, there's another way of living and thinking about religion outside of our little family unit, and having
And
those
did that
discussions.
scare you at first, or how was your initial reaction? Because I can imagine you're dropped as a 15-year-old
Yeah.
in an environment that is completely different, not just the language, but like you say, a different upbringing, different thinking about religion.
Mhm.
What's your first reaction? Does it scare you? Does it surprise you? What's your
Yeah, I think it just more surprised. I don't know that it scared me, but it's like, oh, that's different. Okay. Like, let's go with it. Go with the flow. And I think that was one of the biggest things I learned, was being able to just go with the flow of things. Here's how they live. Let's do this. It did teach me a lot about, I talked about advocating for yourself or advocating for others, but really asking those questions that maybe you wouldn't think to ask because you've never experienced outside of your bubble before, or seen any different. And then when you start to see differently, then it just spawns a million other questions, that pop up, or like, oh, I noticed this was different. What about this? And um, even as we're hosting our student now, I'll talk about it later in another question, I think, but we ask those questions like, what surprised you? What was different about the culture? What are you used to seeing? Especially because now the kids are so inundated with culture from TV or just the internet alone, which we didn't have when I went abroad, right? And so things might be different than you expect because you were able to see something else on TV where we didn't quite have those yet. So yeah, it was not scary, but other people do get scared. Some people don't like
Yeah.
change. I love change. It's fine.
Well, I guess if you're at 15 already thinking about coming to Europe, do you know what triggered you? Do you remember why did you want to do that? Because you said you had children or others in your house with your
Yeah.
parents, but were you the first, or were other children before coming to your house?
So I had taken a German course, and I think when I was 14, our teacher said, "Oh, here's some exchange students that came into the class. They wanted to meet the other Germans, or the other students learning German, and they were a group from a school that came over all together." And I thought that was just the coolest thing ever. I was like, "Oh, I want to be friends with them." And then I found out, they do this program every year. And so that spring, we decided to host one of those students in our home. And she's lovely. We are still friends today. I still talk with her mom like every
Wow.
few months and say hello and how are you doing? Um, and so just when I had that opportunity, that was just a really short engagement, like 4 weeks. And then I was doing really well in the German course, and my teacher said, "Hey, you should really think about doing this Bavarian youth exchange, where you're not going to be with a group of students. You're going to be on your own at the school, but your German's coming along. I think you'd do really well here." So I applied and I got accepted, and it was a true exchange where she would come live with me. I would go live with her. So we had 2 students to that point before I went over. So I feel like even though we were hosting and I hadn't yet gone over, we had that experience of somebody new living. We knew, it's difficult. You have all of a sudden a new sibling that you're not used to. Like siblings, I feel like are meant to torture each other sometimes, but you're not doing that with this person, right? It's a new way of
You have
learning
a
to
little
live.
bit more respect for
Yeah, a little bit more.
especially in the beginning, I would say, depending on how long it is. Indeed.
Yeah.
But then, okay, then you got signed up, and how's that going then? Because like you said, there is no internet, no way to
Yeah.
phone or whatever, so basically you're put on a plane and then you arrive here, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that was the scary part to me. What really helped was my dad at the time had a job where he traveled quite a bit. And so he was going to be in Germany for a conference, and he took some time out of his schedule to go meet the family that I was going to go live with, to help me feel better. And then it helped that she had lived with me first before I went over. But before any of that happened, my dad met her father, and they both were it was great. They both sent pictures. So we all knew who looked like what. It was wild. Like I don't know how we did this. I don't know how my mother let me go live somewhere for a few months and her without knowing anything. I don't
because
know
your
that I could
father
do
had
it.
seen the family, but your mother
Yeah.
didn't.
Nope. And I mean, we did do we had some very short, but, good phone calls to like ask each other questions, get to know each other a little bit. Of course, this was at a time where you needed a phone card. Couldn't just even from our house phone is very expensive. But it was a privilege to be able to do that. And then
But it
before you
also
know it,
must mean, I would say, that your mother or both your parents also had a good feeling or trusted
yeah.
you, like, okay, this is going to work out, or she
Yeah,
really kind of knows what she's doing.
I think so. And they knew that I'd be going to school. They knew I'd be looked after. I was with a family. It's not like I was going over on my own. Um, But it makes me, as I reflect back on that now as a parent myself, I'm like, wow, the level of trust, like it just makes me feel really good that my parents trusted me that much to be able to do that. So, and you talked about the screensaver, and there it goes. There we are. Got to remember to move my mouse every now and then.
But yeah, that's why I was asking the question: the level of trust that parents have to
Yeah.
have in you, in also in their upbringing. Like, okay,
Yeah.
we think that Ash is really capable of doing this, and okay, and
Yeah.
probably still be scared, like you say. But as parents, I think one of the hardest skills is not showing the moments that we're scared. Like, okay, we
Yeah.
trust you, and at the same time thinking, oh God,
Yeah.
I'm scared. But yeah,
And it's great. And,
hiding there. Yeah.
and it's different now. So with our exchange student now, I've gotten to know her mother. I had an opportunity to go travel this summer and get to know her. And she wrote me the nicest letter when Lily came with us. And she said something in there that just made me be like, yeah, that's what parenting is. It's we give them roots so they can fly. And I was like, yep. It just makes me tear up thinking about it. I was like, oh, that's what we're doing. And it's what my parents did for me. And but it gave me so much because now I'm still friends with these families and our kids have met, and it's incredible. And now we're talking about the girl that lived with me. We're talking about her daughter coming to live with me next year, but to be with my kids, like it's just the coolest. So we'll see. Yeah.
So it's the next level, I would say, indeed, and the things that you have
Yeah.
thanks to an experience that, well, both a teacher and your parents were
Yeah.
well encouraging to do.
Yes.
That's really wonderful.
Yeah. And at a time it wasn't really a common thing, or that and you still don't hear about it too much from the US. But I'm just really
I do
appreciative of that.
remember but at a later age, or maybe at 15, 16, I was thinking doing that at 18, 19. But then I immediately went to university. I kind of forgot in the years in between.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Things I still wish I could do as an adult today.
well, in certain ways we can move to other countries, but it becomes much more complicated.
Yeah,
There's a lot more
unfortunately.
other stuff that
Yeah.
makes things harder. Let's move to that
Okay.
second question.
Yeah.
If you had not been doing what you've been doing now, do you have any idea what would have become of you? You already talked a little bit about, okay, this is what you're doing now before you did testing, but was there
Yeah.
something else that I don't know, little Ash, was there something that you wanted to do that you dreamed of, or?
Yeah, this question really made me smile when you sent it over, because I still remember one of my first jobs ever after university. My favorite interview question just stuck with me. What would you do if you weren't in testing? And my answer is still the same. I would love to be a travel writer. I want to travel the world. I want to write about it, the food I eat, the places I stay, giving people tips, like different things to go see and do. Like, I think I would be in heaven if I got to do that. And I do it personally. Like when I travel, I just write for myself and like write down the things that we've done every time we go on a trip. But there's a person here in the United States. His name is Rick Steves, but he has like a show on our public broadcasting station. And he also has a blog and publishes so many books on the places that he goes and the tips that he gives. And I think it really started when I started German in 7th grade. So I was probably around 12 years old, 13 years old when I started learning German, and then got interested in the language itself, the culture, and then the travel aspect of it, and always wanting to go back to it. And it's just one of those, oh, what if I had done, there's so many things I could have done differently in my career. And
True.
yeah, I joke I'm the practical middle child, so I did what paid the mortgage easiest and was going to pay for university and all of that. But if I had it to do all over again, would I do things differently? Maybe. Yeah.
You said that occasionally you just a little bit, but did you at some point try a bit, or was that, like you say, too much? Like, okay, no, I need to pay the mortgage, or I need to pay rent, or whatever. Was that immediately already in your head when you started working? Like, oh, I need to take care of that money part.
Yeah, I went from being a student to being an adult way too fast. Like I just wanted, like, I got married very young. and I would never change anything, right? We're still very
That part you
happily
don't want to
together.
change.
Yeah, no. But we lived in Washington, D.C., very expensive to live at that time. It still is. But I was like, okay, I'll just go get my job. And university was different too. I took German in university, but I really focused on math. I started as a math major, switched over to computer science when I realized I don't want to be a math teacher. I actually really like this whole computer thing's pretty cool as we're starting to learn more about it and the internet's starting up. Like I was at university when we really started getting access to things like that. And coding. And I was like, oh, this is neat. And I really liked all of that. And so that kind of switched my career trajectory and ambitions a little bit. But I still kind of took German. I was a TA, things like that for a little bit in those courses. And I had the dream of like traveling the world or being an interpreter. At one point, I wanted to work for the UN and interpret for people. I don't know where that came from. Probably from having worked in DC for a bit too. But that happens and dreams change. But now I still come back to the gosh, if I didn't have these responsibilities as an adult, like mortgage and school tuition coming up or whatever, and I didn't have to worry about money, I would just do that. I think it'd be amazing.
And you very quickly moved, said the sentence like, okay, I grew up very fast or moved very quickly from student to being an adult. Is your experience in as a 15-year-old on taking care of yourself in another country, could that be related to that, or am I seeing things that are completely
No, I think you're onto something there. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, it teaches you, I think when you go and live abroad, even though you're with a family, right, you're still getting a level of independence that most don't have at that age, at least not where I lived. And the US is also really interesting to me when I think about like our own exchange students experience right now. And she's like, oh, wow, you have to drive me everywhere. I was like, yeah, because it's not safe to ride your bicycle on the streets here. Everything's so far apart. Like you need your parents to drive you places. Like, so you still have this level of dependence in the US than maybe you wouldn't have where you have other public modes to get places yourself as a teenager abroad. And that taught me a lot there. And I think you're right. Like I think that totally played into a lot of, okay, I'm just gonna, you have your life plans, graduate, go get a job, get married, whatever it is, like have kids. That's what that was the life plan that I just went on that road for. I wouldn't change it by any means, but there are definitely some things I was like, okay, things could have been different if I hadn't done that right off the bat. And now with my own daughters, I'm just like, maybe like take a gap year, maybe go travel a little bit more. You don't have to get so settled in a career right away. Enjoy your 20s because you're not going to feel any younger the older you get. Like it's just, have fun with it.
It's amazing what we opportunities that we see when we get older. Like, hey, there was this and that, and yeah, okay, we didn't take them. And again, this is also fine. Like you say, you're happy with your marriage and you're happy with some of the choices, but it could have been different. Maybe not worse or better. It's just different.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
That's a little bit why I'm asking that question, because it's always interesting to see. Well, if I talk to my children when the oldest one, when he went to university, for him it's like, yeah, but that's the most important choice. What will I do? And then my whole life will depend on it. It's like, yeah, it's important, but no, there are still options and things are, you can still move in different kind of things. And yeah, it's not everything is.
Or you can decide, or you can discover something else you love later in life and go, like I did. I found psychology and organizational psychology and I went back to school a couple of years ago. So I was just like, okay, let's do this now. It's fine. So there's just different paths and they're never closed. And I wish I had known that when I was younger. Like I just thought I need to figure these things out now, and you don't. Like that's the thing I wish I could tell 20-year-old me. It's fine. It'll be okay.
Well, yeah, at that 20-year-old, a lot of us, well, at least I also thought like I knew everything, and or if I didn't know, I thought I had to know, and now it's like, well, at 30 or 40, you learn like everybody's just winging it and doing a lot
Oh,
of stuff, trying to
we
figure
just
out.
pretend we know, right? We're faking it till we
Exactly.
make it.
And in some cases everything is fine, and in other cases things break down and we do something else, and that's fine as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah.
real wonderful stories. I really like that. Let's
Thank
move
you.
to that third question. What is your biggest challenge, and why is that a good thing for you? And of course, the biggest challenge that you want to have openly on the internet.
Yeah, I'll be careful. I think communication on
Mm.
all fronts, work, life, family. I am a very internal person, very introverted. I am very quiet typically. I like to process things. I don't necessarily, I have to work really hard to vocalize the things that I'm really trying to say. But then when I think about it as well from the work front, the biggest challenges that I experience all through my career has been communication. And it's more from the perspective of nothing has ever really been a technical challenge. It's always been a people challenge. And that's rooted, or a lot of it was rooted in how we communicate with each other, whether it's being able to talk about what are our goals, what are we trying to achieve? Is it really a thing that a tool is going to solve? No, it was really how we talked to each other and worked together, and collaborated and removed silos versus, yep, we're just going to go implement this thing. We're going to automate this thing and it's going to be okay. Like that was a part of, right? Like that is one of the,
Easiest part.
yeah. It's the how do we learn and grow together and communicate that what we need from each other, how we're going to work together, bringing up challenges, challenging assumptions, giving hard feedback, giving good feedback, all of these things that we need as humans. And to me, it's rooted in communication, and it's good for me because it puts me out of my comfort zone because I hate having difficult conversations. But as a boss, as a mother, I got to be able to do it. Right. And
Oh yeah.
if you can't do it, you're not in the right role. So, and I think it just goes to show you don't have to be comfortable with things to still get good at them, which is a thing that I've had to learn in my career too.
Yeah, I think, well, especially for um, difficult conversations, it's something like you say, the moment we are too comfortable with it, it's also not a good idea, I would say.
Yeah.
Because but yeah, like you say, especially with children at any age, you need to have different kind of difficult conversations.
Yeah.
And that's also how they learn. And I would say if we don't do that enough to give in a gentle way boundaries at children, that gives other problems. Unfortunately, I've worked with adults that don't respect boundaries, don't see boundaries, don't understand any of that. And it's kind of hard because of course I don't know their history, but I'm tempted to blame their parents in that sense. It is important, and still, if you encounter that as an adult, we still need to give the boundaries and have hard conversations in any kind of direction.
It is really hard. Yeah. And it goes for anything, right? Life, career, whatever. And I think it is interesting when you mentioned, you feel like it's rooted in how you were brought up. I agree. It's not, and I love my parents dearly, but, it was a sweep everything under the rug type of situation where like, if it was uncomfortable or uneasy, we kind of glossed over it and just kept going. And thankfully we started not doing that. And I started seeing like my mom really bring issues up, and I just remember those conversations when I was younger. And I was like, this is different. And then now I realize how hard it was for her to have those with us as a family. And I'm really appreciative she did it because now I'm able to do that with my family, even though at first it was like really, really challenging. But yeah, and then at work too, people say feedback's a gift, but it can be tough sometimes, and you just have to be good about it. So.
I just brought back a book.
Oh yeah.
Take it. This is for me one of the most interesting books that I've learned, that I read about
Ooh,
feedback. That's called Thank You for the Feedback. And the reason
nice.
why, well, I've read quite a lot about books for giving feedback, but this is a book that's written for receiving feedback. And that's the
Oh.
unique. I've never seen, or I never read another book in that sense. Um, and like you say, well, sometimes when you get feedback, it's not that nice. But this
Mhm.
book explains a little bit the different styles of what types of feedback that people want. We're talking here about feedback basically as a kind of coaching, like, okay, we can help
Mhm.
you. But there is also some people, well, there's three styles. There's that one. There's the fact that some people want appreciation, which is also a kind of feedback. And
Yep.
then there is the third one. I don't come up with the right name, but it's some kind of scoring, like, okay, this is the scoring you would get, and you also get that at reviews, yearly reviews, and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And what's not in the book, but what I've learned after reading it and working through it, is that, well, what is in the book is that everybody has their preferred style. So if I'm a person that loves to get coaching feedback, like, okay, this is how I could improve. Um, but if there is a person that loves to get appreciation and gets a coaching feedback style, they actually feel it as an evaluation. That's the word I was looking for. It's really like, oh, we're scoring you negative. We're actually, that's not the intention of the coaching feedback. And I've learned, yeah, I've seen, since I've read this book, I've seen a lot of people that look for one particular style of feedback, and if you give the other, they're completely confused, and then they say like, yeah, but you didn't give me any feedback. I might have given, but it's might not have been the one that you
Yeah.
would have preferred.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check out that book. I wrote it down because God, I love that perspective on receiving, and I think what you're mentioning is right. Like we do have preferred styles, but then I think about like what are our core needs? We all have different core needs,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's belonging or inclusion or being informed or significance. So, there's so many different needs we might have in the workplace. And if we don't tailor that feedback to help meet those needs, what is actually going to resonate for you? What's going to stick with you? What's going to help you be self-aware about moving forward so that you can grow? It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is for me indeed a lot. And again, the book is written for people for receiving feedback, but
Hmm.
I've learned a lot also about giving feedback. I've learned about my personal preference for
Hmm.
receiving feedback, but I also learned a lot about giving. And there is a lot more, of course. This is just one of the different things but the one that I've taken most out of the book.
Yeah,
Let's put it like that.
love it.
I'll put it in the show notes as well. So
Thanks. I can't wait to read it.
it's really, it's really wonderful. But that is, yeah, communication. I think it's also Jerry Weinberg that said it. Whatever they tell you, it's always a people problem. I recognize that in so
Yep.
many ways. Even if it's rules and regulations, well, some people created these rules and regulations, so it's again a people problem, because they might look for different ways or different style of feedback, different style of guiding,
Hmm.
that might not work for whatever that is.
Yeah.
So I really like your examples of so let's move to the next question. What drives you? Because I've already noticed again, like I noticed in so many conversations, you're a very passionate, driven person. You talk about all these different kind of things. Also,
Yeah.
just be going at 15 to another country, for me, that is also some kind of passion. Do you know where that drive, where that passion is coming from? Was that already in you when you were even younger than 15,
I think just
or
a love of learning, like just
mm,
genuine curiosity. I love learning, even if I'm never going to be an expert in it. It's fine. I just love to learn about something. And I've always I love school. Like from elementary school, every college, I loved going to class.
mm,
I loved learning all the subjects I could. I went to a liberal arts university. So it wasn't, you're only going to focus on computer science, but I had to take language. I had to take sociology. I had to take all of these different curriculums because I was at a liberal arts university, and I had so many interests.
When you say had, that's for yourself or from the school out?
From the school. So because of the type of university we were, they required getting a liberal arts background and studying those types of subjects along with your major. So we walked out with a very maybe different background than somebody that's only going to a technical university to only study computer science. And it, I'm not going to say it's good or bad. It's just different.
When you selected the school, or how was that?
Yeah. So when you select a university in America, you get a pretty good overview of what type. I chose the university primarily based on size. So I wanted a very small private setting. I got into larger schools and universities. But after they let you also go sometimes sit in on a course. So I sat in on courses at the schools I was looking at, and they were too big. There's 200 kids with a teacher's assistant teaching the class. Whereas this university, it was all women. So that's very different. I think the largest class I saw was 15 people my entire time.
Wow.
And I was taught by all professors my entire journey there. Never had a TA myself. And I got a lot of individual attention. So I knew my professors very well by the time I graduated.
And they knew you very well as well.
Yes. And it was great. It was really personal. Like, we'd go out to one of my professors' farms and ride horses. Like, it was just really cool.
But skipping class is probably harder if it's just 15 in the class.
It is a little harder. But it was just a nice small student-run university. So like, we had an honor system that was run by students. We had a judicial student run by students. Like, we didn't have policemen on campus or anything to look that you're not doing things that you weren't supposed to. We just kind of self-report and trust each other. It's a really nice community-led school. Very different than I think some other universities at the time. But that,
and still today, I would say no, because
we're no longer all women, but it's still very small. Still a lot of the things that I loved about it are still there.
Yeah, but I meant also today there are not many that work in this way. Even if yours is maybe even also not.
Yeah.
Like,
so
that's indeed,
it's definitely different. A very different educational experience than I think the traditional university experience. I loved it. And my dad grew up, he was a scientist and he focused on automobile safety. And no, I didn't go into engineering, but I still love learning about his work. And I think a lot of my love of learning comes from him too. He's still reading research papers. He's still teaching PhD students. He's working with them still, even in his retirement. He just loves learning and teaching. And
so that kind of was, as a young girl, you saw your father already doing that, and so I guess in that sense it stick on you in a way.
It did, I think so. And then
and was that similar for your mother, or is that?
In a way, so she did not go to university. I'm the first woman on my mother's side of the family to go to university at all. And I'm really proud of that. Like, it's really cool to me that my parents also, but she valued it so much. She wanted us to have those experiences. That's why she let me go to Germany, because she saw what I was learning. And I remember the first time she heard me when I got home, and I had a phone call to let them know everything was okay. And she heard me speaking German with the family, and she was crying in the kitchen. I was like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "I'm just so proud of you." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, Mom." And they still love it. And they work with my kids to have those opportunities too. And they show up to everything educational. And it's just been really, I think a lot of the parents, they wanted me to learn. They wanted me to go to university. They wanted us to have those learning opportunities that were maybe not as traditional as other paths that people might take. And I grew up in Washington, D.C., so I had free museums all around me growing up, and we went all the time, and it was so cool. And just really, really appreciate that. Where I grew up, who raised me, all of that still drives me today.
Yeah, it's wonderful when you're in such an environment, how that
Yeah.
yeah, kind of, well, even probably I can imagine that your father never told you to be like that, but somehow
Right.
it inspired
It
you.
sticks, right? Like I think
Exactly.
how we were
And
raised becomes
even
part
if
of
your
us.
mother didn't go to university, she still, well, she let you go to Europe and let you, so there is a lot of encouragement in learning. And
Yeah.
because yeah, like you said earlier on, earlier in this conversation, yeah, going to another country, another continent, even that brings a lot of learning,
Yeah.
a lot of things.
And I think a lot of it too. I mean, even though my mother didn't go to university, she was still very, very, very smart. And she grew up, we call them Navy brats. So her father was in the United States Navy
Mhm.
and they moved every 3 years. And so she had a whole
Oh,
lot of
okay.
other learning to go
Exactly.
there.
That's
Um,
so in that sense, she had the experience what you had. You
mhm.
only had it for a short time, but she had it like
Yeah.
every 3 4 years.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. That
Yeah.
yeah. That in that sense, I can imagine that that for her that was also kind of a way to let. Okay, it's different because she moved with the whole family,
Yeah.
but still, it was like, okay, I want you to experience a little bit part of
Yeah.
that I can
New
imagine.
places, new people, new
Mhm.
things. It was
So
amazing. So,
and like you say, you still have contact with a lot of these people. So
yeah, that's the
that
best part.
that's
All of
yeah.
them. Yeah, that's the
Mhm.
wild thing, and their families, which is great.
Mhm. So
And every
it's
time I go to Germany, I see them, so it's pretty special.
mhm. So it's not just for a small little moment, but it's indeed
Yeah.
yeah, a memory for life. Let's
Yeah.
move to that next question, and
All
I
right.
am now even more wondering what your answer is. That what do you consider your biggest achievement? Because you already thought about so many different things,
Yeah.
and before we jump into that question, one of the things I've noticed is with a lot of people, basically, this is your moment to brag and to be really proud. Is it easy for you, Ashley, to be proud? Is that easy?
It's easy for me to be proud of other people. It is really
Mm,
hard for me to be proud of myself.
right.
Because I don't know if it's just something I do. So I don't think of it as anything special or extraordinary. And this is going to sound like there's two things I'm most proud of in my life. Um, one is my kids. I know it sounds really cliche as a parent, but they're still growing. But I'm genuinely just in awe of them. My oldest is this intellectual young lady that's growing up and she knows who she is. She loves to travel and above all else loves to learn. I'm seeing that she just took Latin and I've
And
never
two things
seen.
that you
Yeah,
already
I'm like, I
appreciated.
just
So,
raised a mini me. It's amazing. Like we raise these like little miniature human things of ourselves.
mhm.
My youngest is this boisterous kid who loves life and doesn't want to miss anything. And she's outgoing. And I'm still trying to figure out where she got that from. Um, but both of them in the long run stand up for what's right. They love their family and their friends fiercely. And I might complain about like how messy they are in their rooms, but that they're thriving in what truly matters in life. And that just makes my heart so happy. Like I feel like we're doing good jobs as parents. And I don't think we give ourselves as parents enough credit sometimes when we see our kids growing up,
Mm,
you know, maybe not the way that we envisioned when we first had them, but just growing up to be incredible people. It just makes me so proud. But beyond that, my biggest accomplishment is going back and getting my master's degree. I finished about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, while working full time, while being a parent. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, trying to go back and do that and get back into
mhm.
learning, like doing rigorous learning and structured learning. Um, on top of all the other things we have going on in life. But I took one class at a time. Um, I ended up getting COVID and then long COVID with pneumonia. So I finished the class when I got sick, but then I took a semester off. So it was a journey to say the
Mhm.
least.
Yeah, I can
Um,
imagine.
and I learned along the way that I'm a much better student now in my older age than I was ever in my teens and early 20s. Um, because I wanted to learn. Like it wasn't just what I thought was expected of me. And I loved learning back then, but I was I love school for the school experience and playing field hockey and partying and having fun. This was you have to truly want to go back to school when you go back to school at our
Exactly.
age.
That's
And and it's nice because when you're getting your master's degree here, you're taking the things that you're really, really interested in. And that's when I went back for applied industrial and organizational psychology. So it was I learned a lot. I never learned before, like approaches to research, different research methods that I hadn't taken before. I learned data analysis and applied statistics, and I learned how to code again on some things that I hadn't done before. And it was really cool. And I don't know.
wow.
I'm so proud of myself for going back for that. And it wasn't easy. Janet Gregory was and Lisa, they've been on this journey before in their past, and they're like, it's okay to be good enough. And that's one thing that they really taught me. I was like, oh, if I didn't have Janet like talking to me every now and then through my journey there, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, but I did, and it was so helpful.
It's this is wonderful how, because when I asked this question, I asked, okay, is it easier for you to is it easier for you to brag? You said it's easier to brag about others. You actually started with that because you started
Yeah.
bragging about your children, and so this is a nice example. And I agree. I think there's many people. I have the same thing. I've published a couple of books, but I'm actually much more proud or
Yeah.
easier to talk about the book that my daughter brought out than my
Yeah.
things, because yeah, even here I'll bring it up just now, and it's like, oh, it's much easier to do this than talk about my own achievements.
Yeah.
So very recognizable. And the same thing, you talk about what you recognized, what you achieved, and at the same time still talk about, oh, Lisa and Janet and how they helped you and how wonderful women they are. But so it's during, so I love it because it's so recognizable. I see so many people here, and this is why I started asking this question, this question before the question,
It's
because
such a good question.
well, and so many people have hard times to be proud of ourselves. And like you say, it's very easy to be proud of our children, and we don't even think about it. I know that my children sometimes think, yeah, it's because your parents. No, it's generally being proud,
Yeah.
and in a way that we don't do for ourselves, and that's
Yeah.
that is yeah.
Although my kids laugh at me now because I like cry at everything these days, and they do something amazing. I'm a softie. I just start bawling, and they're like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "I'm just so proud of you," but it's fine.
It's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's move to that next question. Ash, do you have a personal agility tip to share?
Yes. I would say don't take on too much. Limit your work and progress. Whatever it is. Personal work, everything. It's okay to say no. It's okay to set boundaries. Even when you want to say yes, I am a people pleaser by nature. I want to say yes to everybody to make them happy. Um, but it leads me to burnout and high anxiety and not being my best self. And Fiona Charles is like one of the best people I know at saying no. She's even, I think, given workshops on how to say no. Um,
I had
and
no idea she did that, but I'm
at
not
one point,
surprised.
maybe, I don't know. I think she was offering, like, we have a woman in testing Slack, and we have a whole Be Strong, Say No channel that we all talk about bragging when
Wow.
we said no to something. And it's actually really good because it's easy to fall back into the trap of saying yes to everybody if you're not careful. And so we take times to celebrate when we say no to something, and I love it.
I,
Um,
I'm, I yeah, I really love that idea. It's
yeah,
I want my own channel for that.
it's
I'm
so good.
it's wonderful. Yeah, I think it's yeah, I
Yeah.
really love that idea. And I encourage people, and I understand what you say about people pleasing. I understand what you say.
Hmm.
Yeah, we want to help out. I think everybody who's somewhere in yeah, in IT, we're doing things we want to create. Well, part of it we want to create for people, but
Hmm.
we want to make people happy with that. So in that sense, I see it in people, yeah, in all kind of things. If you're in healthcare, you want to help out people in social work. But
Hmm.
there, I see it in so many different things, and then it's really hard to say no. But the problem is, if you always say yes, then your yes doesn't mean anything, because
Yeah.
how do I know if because like you say, you could be in burnout, you could be forgetting it because you say yes to too many things.
Yeah.
So the
Or how
better
can
you
you
are
really
at.
give it your best if you're giving 10% across the
Mm,
board versus 100% to one thing?
mhm.
I mean, the reality of being a parent, or, you're never just going to have one thing to do. But we have those conversations all the time, even with my kids. Like, do you really think you should be on two volleyball teams and a basketball team? I think you're going to burn out and you're going to get exhausted. So let's talk about
Mm.
what that means. Or,
Yeah,
it's
it's
it's hard.
it is hard, and indeed, everybody has to look and find their own boundaries. And I do
Hmm.
remember, indeed, my own children having lots of hobbies, and at some point, like, okay, having to decide which hobby will I drop, which not, and it's not always
Yep.
foreseeable upfront which one it will be.
Yeah.
Uh, but they have to gradually learn, and typically you learn because you over promise something or you overdo something,
Yeah.
and then it might be either letting down a team, either being school results not good, or letting down friends or family, and yeah,
Hmm.
indeed, that is an important part.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting too, like, to be able to do that, to be able to say no. I think it helps to have goals, to have like a personal compass so that you know what you're saying yes to. How does it drive towards that too? What filter are you looking at life through so that you know what you can say no to? And I think
Could
that's
you give
helped
an
me.
example of such a filter, or how that
Oh,
works in practice?
yeah. I think when you think about like what am I working towards, right? I want to work to retirement. Like, I
Which
do.
is a good goal, and yeah, and if
I'm getting on
the
that,
closer you get to the retirement than to 20 years old, it
yeah.
definitely it's something that
But it
is
makes you think, okay, do I need a career move that gets me closer to that faster? Am I good to just sit here? Am I making a choice to go on a trip that's going to cost me too much money? Like, whatever it is, like financial things that you take on, or is it a thing that your friends want you to do with them? As much as I love to do things with my friends, sometimes I have to say no. That's okay, um, because I think it's going to derail me from that goal. And that's kind of a weird example, I guess, but
Mhm.
or
Well,
even, but even at
yeah,
work, right? Like, what are the things that we are trying to achieve this sprint, and do we need to take on anything extra that derails us from that goal? And if not, what is the business decision behind it? Where do we need to pivot? And sometimes things are going to come in sideways, but what does it do for us? And how can we
I
stay
really like
focused?
that. I really like that as a way to look at that. That's really
Yeah.
wonderful.
Thank you.
I want to move to that next question already
Yeah.
about remote work. What have you learned about remote work? And let's, well, the question typically before is that a lot of us, we started working remote in that horrible period 5 years ago where we don't want to think about.
Hmm.
But did you work already remote before, or
Yeah,
how?
so I'm a little different. I started working remotely in 2006. I had moved from Washington D.C. to North Carolina, and I was like, "Do I really have to find another job?" And my company said, "Let's just try it." I was one of There's a handful of people that were remote, and they said I could. Let's just see how it goes, and it went really well. So they let me keep working remotely. Um, what was interesting though was when I did that, I had already been at the company for more than a year. I had relationships built up. I had
Mm,
already onboarded. And what I found now, having switched jobs a couple times since that company, was it's really hard to start new in a remote world.
right.
Very difficult. From onboarding to making connections and building relationships with people, especially when I'm incredibly shy. It's really hard. Um, and what I've found, even now, I've been at my latest company 2 years, or almost 2 years now, is it's so easy to get focused on the work that we have to be really intentional about connecting as humans. And it's okay to set up a coffee chat and not talk about work with your colleagues. Build that relationship, get to know them. You don't have to be friends, but like connect at a human level that isn't about the work, because I tell you, it makes it so much easier to do the work together when you feel like you've really made that connection with somebody. Um, and we feel less alone. Like, but you have to be intentional about it. Like, don't just like put the blinders on and go through your backlog and your day to day. Like, make time for others the best that you can.
Because it will help also the job.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's yes, it's connecting and it's for personal. It's really good. Well, we spend 8 hours, or most of us spend at least 8 hours at work. That's a lot more than we spent with a lot of our children or
Yeah.
our spouses, or whatever, and with other family and friends.
Yeah.
But then we don't make connections. So that's really, yeah. An
Yeah.
interesting way of looking and seeing indeed that people don't do that enough. I really like that you gave that example, that, or yeah, like, okay, you had been at that company. I think
Mhm.
that's also what some people misunderstood well, there's a lot of things that went on when the whole world
Yeah.
went remote all of a sudden. Um, but indeed, a lot of people I don't know, remember or don't realize that, hey, most of you worked already physically together, so you knew each other. So
Yep.
then going remote was a lot easier than now. We're
Yeah.
5 years later, people jumping, going to different teams, different companies, and now you have to get to know everybody
Yeah.
in a remote world. And indeed, it's an example I give a lot. We go to a remote meeting, and as long as not everybody's there, we don't start a meeting. Everybody's chatting, is writing emails, is writing code, whatever, but we're doing everything except talking to each other. While
Yeah.
if I'm in the physical world, I talk to the person next to me. How was your weekend, and how are the children, and
Yeah.
did you go to that, whatever. um, and you might be sitting on the other part of the room and talking to someone else.
Hmm.
Remote, we can have a one conversation with everybody, and I'm trying to do that now in when
Yeah.
I'm on time or early in a meeting. But
Yeah.
you
We
can't have four conversations at the same time.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's a different dynamic, right? I love
Hmm.
that you build the space in before the meeting. We do something similar. We call it 5 minutes of shenanigans, where we're not talking about work for the first 5 minutes. We're just like, how was your weekend? Like, talk about one of my coworkers went to the Lady Gaga concert this week. Like, amazing. Tell me all about it. I want to know
Right.
everything. Because we don't know when we'll be able to touch base again or whatever. But it's just, have that fun. Like, it's okay to have fun. It's fine. Like, it's all right. Um, and yeah, I do miss that. I do miss some parts of that being in person piece. Like, I do like to travel every now and then for work and go into the office. It's good to actually have that physical, like, oh, we're face to face now, and you're way taller than I thought you ever were. I didn't know that.
Well,
Um,
everybody has a different size that we see, because here on camera, like, it looks like we are the same size. Okay,
yeah,
depending on how close or how far you are from the camera, I might be looking smaller or
yeah,
bigger, but still, we look more or less straight into the camera, straight into people's eyes, and it
yeah,
feels like we have the same size. And I have no idea if you're like 2 meters, or if you're like 60 centimeters. Like,
yeah,
there's no difference.
yeah. So it's just one of those, and I think it's important too for people to remember that remote is different than async.
Mhm.
And it doesn't mean don't show up to meetings. It doesn't mean don't give stat, like, just show up. I still try to show up for each other at the end of the day. And async is good, I think, in some cases. Um, but still try to be there. Be present. Be as present as you can for meetings. Like, I'm trying to get a lot better at not multitasking during remote calls. And we still got to be present for each other at the end of the day.
And so, do you have any tricks for people? Like, you say, okay, you try to be present, so you try to be not doing multitaskings. Are
Mhm.
there any other tricks that you do for meetings? You already talked about these 5 minutes. Is there other things that you say that work for you?
Yeah,
Or
it
don't
depends.
work? Maybe there is things
Yeah,
that you
well,
try to do.
for things that well, I've tried, not I hate the term icebreakers, but it is interesting because it does prime our brains to have a different conversation than maybe we were thinking. But I do think that what I love, some of my favorite meetings are the ones where I do breakout rooms and you get maybe 2 to 3 people chatting about something instead of all 10, 15, however many are in your group, right? And then I think you get meaningful conversations and then we come back together and kind of talk about, well, what did we learn from that? Um, or if you're not comfortable sharing, like where there's still some key moments that you're like, huh, okay. And so having breakouts, I think, is really helpful. I haven't been able to do them that much lately, just given the nature of our meetings. But, um, other tips, I'd always send an agenda. I just try to keep it here's so if you're needed for that meeting, first of all. And what are the goals, like making sure we're getting to outcomes, things like that. But just keeping people engaged. I like to I like to give people the agenda or the topic so that they can mentally think. If they're like me, I like to think about things beforehand. Otherwise, I don't like to think on the spot and come up with something. And so that kind of helps that feeling of engagement from my perspective, at least that I've seen. I don't know. How about you? Do you have any good tips?
Yeah, for me, the intro, indeed, I don't like icebreakers. I've seen
Yeah.
way too bad. But using that startup time for meeting, like indeed, when I arrive, trying to make at least don't do other jobs, trying to be early. Again, depends a little bit because another thing I've seen with remote meetings before we lost a natural boundary
Hmm.
when we were physically in the company, we had the boundary of the meeting rooms. If
Yeah.
all meeting rooms were full, then okay, you can't have a meeting.
Hmm.
And remote, there's unlimited amount of meetings. So somehow our days are now meeting, and more or less like this.
Hmm.
So I try to have some more time in between meetings, and indeed trying to show up on time, and for the people who were there early to have a
Yeah.
small of that conversation. That is for me something that really helps to really be in that moment and to use
Yeah.
that connection. That is indeed
I love it.
the thing that helps me. And yeah, I'm going to think about the 5 minutes because that could also be at other parts because some meetings are
Yeah.
way too long, and having a little
Oh my
break like
gosh.
that could help as well.
Yes. I love that. I love the idea of putting it in the middle of something because goodness, how many times have we been in a meeting that we're just like, I need to not think about something for 30 minutes. Let's just
Exactly.
not.
Let's have a small break or whatever. I want to
Hmm.
move to that next question about a book. What's a book that you have read that you want to talk about?
I love reading. So the one I want to talk about is called Hidden Potential by Adam Grant.
And it's this one, if I'm correct.
Yes, it is. Yep. And so I talked about this in my keynote at Agile Testing Days last year, but it's a book that just really has stuck with me since I opened the first page. And what Adam Grant talks about here, and he's an organizational psychologist as well. So I was introduced to his work when I was getting my master's degree and reading his research articles. And
Mm-hmm.
most people have read his book, like Think Again. There's several other books that he's done, but this one's my favorite right now. And what he really focuses on is it's not about what we know. It's not about being the smartest person. It's about our ability to learn. And he really tells these beautiful stories that focus on the character skills that we need to learn and grow. Um, and it's really about how do we get better at getting better over
Mm.
our life. And he tells stories of resilience. There's this incredible woman, Allison Levine, and her attempts to climb Mount Everest, leading the first woman's only expedition from America. And it talks about her failure that first time. And, getting the feedback from people and the naysayers and really learning how to filter out whose feedback matters. Is it somebody that saw your story on the news and sent you a random comment on the internet? Or is it another climber that knows the technical skills and the stamina needed to be able to do something like that? And, how do we turn that into our motivation? So what are our learning your motivating forces there? What's really going to drive you? And maybe it's something deeper than just wanting to go do it. It's having that personal connection to somebody that really you loved and inspired you as well. He also talks about the story of the Golden 13. These were the first Black men to enter officer training for the U.S. Navy during World War II. And everything was set up against them. And, especially with all of the racist remarks and the system that was designed to make them fail, but they all passed. And they passed because they learned together. And they didn't see each other as competition. They were there to help elevate each other. And they took time every evening to learn together. And somebody would learn who was better at navigation, would teach that to the group. Somebody that was better at knot tying knots was teaching that to the group, whatever it was. And that's how they learned. And if they didn't know something, they asked the questions together to get better at it together. And then he talks about the importance of asking questions, being a sponge and learning your true motivation for asking questions. Are you doing it to feed your ego, or are you asking questions to truly learn? Embracing imperfection. All of these things, like things that, like, I have two drivers. We have core psychological drivers as humans. Mine is to please others. The other is to be perfect. And of course, which is kind of in conflict with my drive of learning. Because if we're truly learning, we're not perfect, right? But
some
I still
people
want to be perfect.
learn or want to learn because they want to be perfect. And what I'm hearing for you, it's more like I want to learn because I love learning.
Yes.
That's a different kind of
thing.
And sometimes it's hard to see the difference with people. But like you say, it's people that have the tendency to think that they have to be perfect or want to be perfect might run into a lot of other challenges.
It's amazing. And he goes into another story about somebody that wanted to be an astronaut. So they applied and applied and applied and kept getting rejected, but they kept going to the programs and things, and they finally got accepted to the program. Like, it's just these amazing stories of not just failure, but just tenacity and being willing to keep trying after being told no, and how we just come together, and all of these character skills. People call them soft skills, but I really like that Adam calls them character skills, to be able to learn. And especially I read this book at a really great time when I was really doubting myself. I had been laid off. I was still going through my master's program. And I didn't know. I was like, am I really okay? Like, do I know what I think I know? Like, I don't know. And then I realized it's okay. I can learn it. I know I can learn it because I'm learning through this master's program right now. And I'm getting my degree in things that I knew nothing about before, and I'm doing really well in it. I know how to learn now. And then it helped me build confidence to go get my next job. And it was just such a good book about resilience. And I can't recommend it enough to everybody. It's a book about resilience that's really talked about. It's really about how you learn, but it's about resilience.
I'm trying to think. The Think Again book is somewhere here, which
I
loved.
Really good book too.
I haven't read this one, but you immediately inspire me to read.
Oh, good.
So I'm really. That's the hard part for me, is that, of course, interviewing and talking to a lot of people every week, I learn at least about one book.
I know.
Sometimes it's a book that I've read, but in many cases, like, I should reread the book. And it's like, okay, my list keep growing week after week. But you make a really compelling case, because some of the things that you talked about are things that I might struggle, or I want to become better at as well. So that's
good.
Really wonderful.
I hope you tell me how you like it if you do read it.
I will. I will
Please.
if I do, and if yeah, so that definitely is a good idea.
Yeah.
I want to move to that next question. For me, with conversations that go in all kind of directions about learning and all these other things, very interesting one. So, what question do you think I should also ask you, and what is the answer?
Okay, you're gonna think I'm crazy. It's what's your favorite TV show?
Wow.
It's Ted Lasso. I don't
Wait,
know if
wait,
you.
before
Oh,
you jump into that, why that's too late, but okay, we'll ignore that part. Why do you want to have ask that question? Because I find it a very interesting way to look at that.
I wanted to kind of switch into like we can still talk about these common themes, right? But I think it's interesting to get to know somebody. Like, what do you like to do to just veg out? Like, what
Right.
do you do in your downtime? And that was kind of a question that the show surprised me. I didn't know what I was going to expect. I knew it was going to be about a soccer team, a football team. And when we first watched Ted Lasso, I was like, the show's hilarious. And then it kept going and it became this beautiful story about leadership and friendship and connecting with others and, um, standing up to the bully. And I loved it. It didn't even matter about the football, which I love. I love watching football and soccer. And what really stood out to me were all of these lessons on leadership that we see throughout the show. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but
No, I
gosh,
haven't.
it's stunning. There's a whole podcast devoted to every single episode of the show,
It's I
based on
find
the
it
lessons in
interesting
leadership.
because it's what I'm hearing is this is from what I understand because I do know a little bit.
Mhm.
It's an American series, but it talks
Mhm.
about soccer,
Yes.
where most of the time in America that's from what I know about it a lot less known than American football, for example. How
Yeah. And it's
is that?
about an American football coach that goes to England to coach a
Okay,
soccer team,
okay, that part I
um,
didn't know.
and not knowing anything about soccer, but he's a
Wow.
successful American football coach.
And so he makes that mistake when they hire him, or is that on? He
No, it
thinks
was
it's the same
actually
thing, or
it's interesting. It was supposed to be about sabotage. Like I want this team to fail because this woman was going through she took over the team as the owner. But it was the one thing that her ex-husband cared about the most about. She's like, how can I make this as bad as possible? So she brings in an American football coach to now coach the soccer team, knowing nothing about it. And he
so
brings his
she did it
assistant
on
coach with him.
purpose, knowing
Yeah,
he will,
yeah.
thinking he will fail, and of course,
And he's
um,
yeah.
yeah,
But he just turns out to be this incredible human. They build this beautiful friendship.
hmm
And despite all things, they find success, and they come together as a team and they really respond to him as a coach. And you start to see these like little moments of when he's coaching players that are difficult. We have difficult team members sometimes. He's coaching players that had a bad day. He coaches them through that. Like it's these beautiful moments of leadership that you're like, oh wow, I can learn something from this and actually take this into my day to day. He has a moment every episode with biscuits with the boss. He brings his boss a little, like we would call them scones, I guess, and brings them to our cookies and has like a tries to have a connecting moment with his boss like all the time. It's beautiful, and
wow,
you see they have episodes on mentorship, and a good mentor hopes you'll stay, a great mentor hopes you'll leave and like go on to the next thing, like all these things. And
right,
just really, really great moments that you don't have to like soccer to like this show. and
right,
and they're good. I liked them too because they're kind of my like you just feel good at the end of them. And
Mhm.
some days you have a bad day or you've been watching something really heavy or serious or a little maybe murdery on TV. And this is like, okay, I can sit and watch for 25 minutes an episode that's going to make me feel really good and smile about the world. And that's why I like the show.
In today's world, that's maybe something that is very
Yeah.
wonderful to have from time to time because indeed,
Yes.
and there is a
Uh,
lot of other negativity on television and a lot of other negativity in the world.
Yeah.
And so then it might be really good to have something like that.
Yeah. And there's still, tearjerker moments, but it always centers around really heartwarming message. And that's what I need. And I'm actually considering rewatching the series because the world today, right? Like we need something new again.
So that's indeed. So thank you for bringing something else. And indeed, it's sometimes people brought in movies or other things as part
Mhm.
of the reading, instead of say people that don't like readings, like okay, I want to then talk about another kind of media, and now you do. It's in a similar way in this question. So I
Yeah.
really, this is why I like so much asking this question, because it can move in all kind of directions, and that brings
Yeah.
us indeed, like you say,
It was tough. I
another
was like, I
part.
don't know what to ask.
Well, it's but yeah, I've noticed that is that yeah, it brings another thing what people want to talk about. So that's really nice.
Yeah.
So that brings us actually already to that very last question. Who do you think I should ask? And from you gave me a rather large list, I would
Oh,
say.
sorry.
That's perfectly fine, but to make it a little bit easier, because now you might be saying names and then I need to find out. What I will do is I will show you some pictures and you will bring me who these people are and then why
Okay.
you invited them. And of course, we didn't check the pictures up front, so there is a risk that it's the wrong picture because I might know. But I think in most cases, I think I know who these
Yeah.
people are. So let's bring on the first person. Who is this and why do you want to bring her on?
This is Elizabeth. I love Elizabeth. She's the funniest, wittiest, one of the smartest people I've ever met. And she's incredibly skilled testing, agile, anything, running things, making things better. You know, questioning why are we doing stupid things and making that go away. Like I love Elizabeth. We've had some of the best conversations. We met at Agile Testing Days, my first time there. I forget which year that was. And we've just been friends ever since. And we still chat on the side and WhatsApp and we keep in contact. And every conversation I leave dying of laughter, but learning something new from her every time too. And especially during the pandemic, Elizabeth and the next person that you're about to ask me about would get together and just talk. How's life going? How's management going? How's work going? And just kind of coach each other through things. When sometimes we maybe needed to not see just our colleagues every day that we're on the phone with forever during the pandemic. And so it was nice to be able to find that connection point with Elizabeth pretty regularly. And yeah.
Based on seeing or getting to know each other from a conference, indeed. And I hope that this is indeed then the next person.
It is, yes. It's Alex Sladovec. Again, another incredibly funny, most outgoing person I think I've ever met in my life. I call her my pocket extrovert. Whenever we're at a conference together, I need her to extrovert for me, so I can be quiet. I'm still interested in being there. I love being around people, but it drains me. And so sometimes I just need her to be my extrovert and talk for me. But she's so inspiring, CEO of her company. We've been talking through her journey to that since that started. Incredibly kind and thoughtful and giving, but just brilliant at testing, brilliant at tech, brilliant at running a company, brilliant at managing people, and I love her. She's amazing.
Right, that's already a lot of good words to have her on. And who is this person?
That's Jenna Charlton. So they are right now, I think, working at Browser Stack. And so they've taken a role as a testing advocate, I believe. But Jenna also has an interesting line of study. They're also getting their master's degree, and they're studying the role of like the importance of a title, the importance of the testing role, and the impact it has on us as testers, and being able to identify with that. And so doing a lot of user research, a lot of qualitative research as well, and trying to scientifically understand and make that connection in terms of our title and role, and how we identify as testers and what that means for us in our careers and our success and our journey. And so that was a lot of, we were pursuing our master's degree. I started a little before they did. And so we've always had those conversations throughout our journey, getting our degrees. And I think they are wrapping up, if not almost done. But a fascinating person to talk to about all of this in the world.
And just for coincidence, this evening, I think like half an hour, an hour before we started talking, I was I was replying to an interesting post that Jenna made on LinkedIn about being patient and testing, and it was really wonderful thing.
Yes.
So yeah, that's just coincidence that I was seeing that and replying, and then afterwards like, wait a minute, that's we're going to talk later about them. So that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Serendipity, how this world is. So let's bring on the next person. Who is this?
This is Naomi Fleischer. So she is one of my mentees. We connected in our Women in Testing Slack a while ago. We've always talked about our journeys and automation and leading and management. And she's just a delight. She's so kind and thoughtful, and she's a superstar. I think everybody should get to know Naomi. And I'm excited because she's going to be at Agile Testing Days this year. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be like a walking pitch for Agile Testing Days, but it's funny. Like the conferences have brought us together. Like all of these people I have met at Agile Testing Days, and I'm so excited about it.
It's one of the conferences where I haven't been to, but I've heard already so many good things that it's like, it's with the whole recording these days. I'm probably going to, well, I'm not probably, I am going to a lot less conferences.
Yeah,
and that is on purpose.
I get it.
But yeah, it's once I'll get going more to conferences, probably one of the first that I want to go, because indeed
I hope to see you there.
So many different things. And then we had one last name. Who is this?
Lena. I adore her so much. So we also met at Agile Testing Days. We've met each other at several other conferences since then, but we often talk a lot about our, I guess, misadventures in management and leadership. And we've coached each other through, job applications or job searches, like just career advice for each other. And she's just brilliant. Everybody here is in the testing space or has been at some point, or engineering. And we just, I don't know, these are the women that I have learned so much from, or people that I've learned so much from over my career that have really helped me, especially through the pandemic, through my degree journey, through getting to this point in my career. And I just think the world would be better if we could all learn from them.
Mm-hmm. And this is, and I think you made really wonderful, introductions, really giving me at least a lot of enthusiasm for talking to, for the few that I didn't know, and the ones that I did know, because I think some of them were already on my list. I have a way too long list. I started out,
I'm sure.
I think I started originally with a little more over 200, maybe 250. I'm now at 830. I already know, and I keep repeating it, I will never talk to everybody on the list. That's just way too long. That's not possible. But every December, I decide if I will continue for another year or not. But some of these people were already on this list for quite a long time, waiting to get invited. So I'm really happy that you invited them, and that I can.
I haven't exactly invited them, but I definitely think you should talk to them.
Well,
and I'm
that you're now
happy to reach out.
them, and then I can reach out, or we can reach out. We can still see how we organize that. But it's your invitation. That's what I want to say. You say that. And that's how I like to do,
Yeah.
because that's part of it. It's like, okay, this is a network. This is people knowing people who are interested to talk to and to listen to. So that's
Yeah.
really wonderful. And with
Hey,
that,
Lisa brought me in, so I'm glad I got to meet you through Lisa. So it's amazing.
so that's a little bit how this world is working. And for Ash, for it's been a wonderful time. We're talking close. I don't know the exact time because we had a couple of breaks, but I think it's about an hour and a half of recording that we'll have probably.
Okay.
Really wonderful. If people want to reach out to you, what is a good way for reaching out to
Yeah, the easiest is LinkedIn.
And that
Ashley
should be the
Hunsberger. That's it, exactly. Reach out, make a connection. I will try to let me know how I know you, because occasionally I've been getting way too many sales pitches. I'm not buying, but I would love to connect and talk anything. I just love to connect with people. So
Yeah, there's something that I've noticed that is these days LinkedIn makes it a lot harder to send messages when you connect.
yeah.
If you don't have a paying account, you have like maximum number of people you can invite with a message,
Oh, okay.
which is really annoying if you do something like this, because you
Yeah.
just sent out a lot of names, the ones that I am not
Yeah.
connected to. I will then connect all at the same time, and then I'm out of messages. Unfortunately, I have also another project that is running basically on LinkedIn. That's also making a lot of connections,
Yeah.
and so yeah, that makes it really hard. Or
Yeah.
well, LinkedIn of course wants me to pay, but yeah.
I know. I refuse to pay. I quit Twitter for reasons, and I think a lot of us can resonate with. And then I couldn't be bothered. Like Blue Sky is fine. I guess I'm technically on it, but I'm never on it. And then I just couldn't be bothered to learn Mastodon and all of that stuff. So I just stick to the easy things. My brain, again, say no, right? I gotta say no to some things and protect my sanity in some ways. So
And you talked about retirement, so you want to protect your money as well, because you might need it later for
exactly.
more important things than just LinkedIn. That's because that's the easy thing with all these SaaS products that we're
Oh, yeah.
using. They quickly assume a lot of money every month. So
Yep, it adds
in that
up.
sense, I can
Yeah.
recognize that as well. Now, really, the only thing left to say, I really want to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful, and indeed, I hope to run into you at maybe Agile Testing Days or somewhere later, because
I hope so
I really
too.
enjoyed this conversation.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Who's Agile, where the stories of agilists come to life. I hope you liked today's interview. Subscribe if you're not subscribed and want to get to know other agilists.